Music Matters. Mr. Midnite Colt in the building today. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for coming on. This one's long overdue. Been a fan of your stuff for a while now. Had Corey on like a year ago now, and I think that might have been my first introduction to the world of Midnite Colt. I believe that probably was it. That or something you did with Illusion Hills.
Yeah, or maybe me making fun of a big artist on the internet at some point. But
yeah,
you never know.
Could have been one of those. And then I think you came to the show we threw with Monet and Illusion Hills like over a year ago now. And you gave me a hat. I think it was the first time we met in person.
That's right. I still have the sticker on my laptop, the Above the Bridge sticker.
Fuck yeah. Damn, I look back at that show fondly. I feel like there's a lot of people I met that night. They went on to be good friends.
I agree. I mean, it's funny how, like, even when I threw the show with Illusion, that, like, they had met Bray that night. And now they're just like always together.
Really?
Yeah, they met Bray.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I think they might have met a little bit earlier, but that show, like, I feel like shows just bring people together.
Yeah, dude.
Like that.
Is that something you want to do more of? Throw more shows? I mean, I know you just had one like a month or two ago with Wes Patrick and all them that did really, really, really well.
Yeah, it was fun. It's definitely like number 1 or 2 on the list of things I want to keep doing next year.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. It's tricky because I feel like I want to make sure I do it right, and I think I did that show right. You know, I think that show went really well. I was super happy with the result. Wes killed it. Like, everyone really killed it that night. But it was a really good introduction to like throwing real shows instead of just like the backyard garage thing, because we had an actual venue and everything.
You felt like that was really different than the ones you'd done prior?
Yeah, I mean, the first one was it was Illusion Hills. We had 8 people on the lineup.
Nice.
It was just all the OC homies.
You gotta love those.
People text me, yo, can I be at the show? I'm like, fuck it, why not? Let's put you on the show. So we had everyone at that show. It was thrown at a Vietnamese restaurant turned concert venue.
Sick, okay.
So we couldn't do sound check because the owner was like, I gotta eat dinner. And we're like, all right, well, you know what, we'll just send it. And that actually weirdly went smoothly.
I gotta eat dinner.
No, I'm not even kidding. You can ask anyone at the show.
That's crazy.
They will all remember we couldn't do sound check because this lady invites her whole family over. And they're just eating like a comically large chicken at our sound check. And I'm like, yo, we got to do sound check. And she's like, it's fine.
Fuck it.
And I'm like, all right.
It'll work out. Chill out.
But yeah, House of Blue is like absolute opposite of that experience. Yeah. Very strict.
Yeah, man.
But I think venues kind of have to be like that.
Yeah, it's why I'm moving away from them a little bit, or at least trying to be more experimental in regards to like locations that we can use, or picky, or just know that like I'm booking a spot that like cares about the culture of it, and they're willing to let us kind of doll it up and do whatever we want to do, because venues can be pretty specific about what you can and cannot do.
Oh, I completely. I mean, I wanted to do a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's weird. We had like a lot of ideas going in, and then we got there, and they're like, no, not today. Okay, whatever.
I mean, that's kind of the thing with a lot of venues. It's like, because realistically, you are just like another night on their docket. Whereas, like, I think if you find like that's why I actually love the idea of the Vietnamese location.
I mean, if I could consistently do shows there, oh my god, they were great. I mean, it was. Honestly, it wasn't a bad venue at all. Like, once we just had to move. We had to literally get rid of a restaurant to make it happen. And the cool thing is I think that was 2 months before all the TikTok stuff happened. So
okay. So, that was like before all that.
Literally right before it was the show. And it was like I think it was a big motivator for me to, like, I did that and I was like, I really, really like this. I kind of want to go into it.
That's a super interesting intro, because obviously, like, I hope I don't just like go off on the like trajectory of a business and music conversation.
No, you're totally good.
That might be more interesting to me than other people, because obviously
I really could talk for hours about it. But.
Yeah, but like, how did you see it at that point? Because I know prior to that you were a filmmaker, and like that was what you were doing. Which obviously, the thing about being a filmmaker, it's not like often it's more of an individualized brand where like you're not really focused on like building up like a huge company, unless you're making a production company. Outside of that, you're probably not really focused on that kind of thing, or even like having, you know, a cohesive brand in general. So when you kind of like transcend that and you start throwing these shows, and then you know the TikTok stuff starts working, and you're kind of building yourself up as a media personality, at that point, where was your mindset with it? Were you just kind of riding the wave as it came, or did you have a plan about what you wanted to build it to?
There was, there was always like an idea of a plan. You know, it was always like
the Trump.
Yeah, there was an idea of a plan. I always knew I wanted it to be. I think every single company, like production company, whatever, is going to say I want it to be the lyrical lemonade of our generation. I think that's a great thing to aim for. But that was what I had in mind.
As did me and everybody else, I think, who has any resemblance to the same thing. Yeah.
And it became a social media thing because I actually used to like edit for Tony, you know, all the time. I would like do all his stuff. And then I was like, I'm good at filming. I feel like I'm decent at talking and scripting. So might as well turn the camera around and just see what I can do when I'm talking to the camera instead of like having an artist do it. And it was just like funny enough, it was like a last resort to do that. I was like,
interesting.
I was almost like, if this doesn't pop off, I might just get a job or whatever. But
why was that? You just had struggled to find money in it?
I struggled to find money. I was losing a lot of motivation in filmmaking, and like it just wasn't as enjoyable as it used to be.
Yeah.
I'm very, very glad I did have that last stretch of motivation, because if I could go back and I had this in mind, I would continue no matter what.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like I don't know. I just like had a lot of weird shit happen at that time, and I was just like, you know what? Let's try TikTok, and it really surprisingly worked really quickly. And I don't know. I'm very fortunate that it worked that quickly. I think I had to really like almost create a character to make it,
for sure.
Yeah. Work like that.
I mean, your videos are edited in like an incredibly, like, I mean, because I watch almost all of them, but like this morning I sat down and I was like really thinking about them, and I was like, the way they're edited is just like retention crack. Like it's just like you're never answering the question that's proposed until like the majority of the video is gone. But the question is always something that, you know, you want answered, and whether it's clickbaity or not, I mean, it depends on the video, but sometimes it's just like you'll like say a take or whatever, and then you just like, or like there was one, I'm trying to remember what it was, but I think you were all like, you were like describing an artist. Oh no, I remember what it was. You were talking about the feature on the Uzi album being Big Time Rush, but you didn't say the name Big Time Rush, or like halfway through the video. So the whole time I was like, all right, well you're describing this feature, but who's the feature? It was just like, it's retention crack.
It's almost like I find it funny for people to draw their own assumptions as to who I'm talking about. I've done this before where I'm like, who's the best out of the big three, and I mentioned like Kendrick and J. Cole, but don't mention the third.
Net spend. Yeah.
And then I put net spend. Yeah. You know, it's like towards the end of the video, what the fuck? Because I feel like right when people are about to click off, I try to get that really big like what moment right there, as much as I can. But it's something you just kind of like, I feel like I've learned that over the years. It's like what videos do well, what videos don't do well, and why did these do well and why didn't these do well. And I think I've kind of been able to curate like a pretty good formula to making it work.
Do you feel like the TikTok for you was the first time that you had found something in the music sphere that like really went for you, like really worked? Did you, cause I know you said you were considering with filmmaking prior to this, like kind of just leaving it all behind. Did you feel like you weren't finding success in it, or it was just like a taxing thing that you kind of lost enjoyment for?
I think it was. I think the reason I lost interest is because it can be really daunting, especially when you're working in videos. You're always comparing yourself to someone else, and I'm just sitting there, me and my camera, like I have to compete with this guy who's also just him and his camera. But like at the end of the day, there were people that were just better at it, and I didn't like that, and that, you know, call it whatever, but I just knew it was going to take a lot for me to kind of get to where I wanted to be, and I was like, I'm 23, man, like I don't know how much longer I can be doing this. And then eventually I was able to like use those skills still, the film and editing, and just kind of pivot it into something else. Like
reframe them in a way to where just like it made more sense and it worked better.
Absolutely. And I think now if I were to, you know, and I will, I'm going back to music videos, but
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just think about it, I'm like, I've been filming and editing every single day for the past 2.5 years. Like I think definitely have worked that muscle enough to the point where I'm going to be confident this time around, making videos and like fleshing out ideas and everything. So
yeah, dude, it's hard, I think, to like just do something like that every single day and just like not even realize that you're just like accumulating more skills. Like it's just reps. You don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even realize that I'm getting better at shooting stuff when I'm just like setting up for interviews and stuff. It's so simple. It's the same setup every single time. But even just like holding your camera and like dialing in your settings for whatever reason is just like giving your brain I don't know. Like it's like working the muscle, you know?
It's literally the way I think about it is, have you ever seen Karate Kid?
Yeah.
You know, wax on, wax off.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Car, and then he does his karate, and that somehow translated over to that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a similar idea.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's cool that you're going back to the music video world. I didn't even know that. Are you doing that under the name like Midnite Colt, or are you doing that just as Colton?
I believe it's going to be. I've put a lot of thought into this, actually.
Yeah.
Midnite Colt is just me. That's what I'm going as. It's going to be my name. If the video's directed by Midnite Colt, it's going to say directed by Midnite Colt. But the company side of things, you know, when it comes to music videos, concerts, my playlist, it's all Music at Midnight.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it honestly took me a lot longer to figure out like what I was gonna do with the names.
Yeah,
but I did figure that out. So Music at Midnight is the concert, film, video stuff.
Well, the names are indicative of like the separation between yourself and your company. I mean, I obsess over it too, and I think about it all the time as well. It's like so you're saying like the company's Music at Midnight, but you're Midnite Colt, and you are the spearhead between it.
Well, technically, the LLC I have is Midnite Colt,
gotcha.
But it's all under the like I guess Midnite Colt umbrella.
Yeah,
it's a little difficult to explain, but I mean, for instance, when I'm also doing long form now. So all the long form stuff that I make is going to go on my Midnite Colt channel.
Gotcha.
But if I do a concert recap, that's going to go on Music at Midnight.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like a strong need to define it all? Because it's kind of like a question I think about a lot, like just with Above the Bridge, and also like I talked to McLean about a lot with Live 2, and like a lot of other people. I've talked to Alex Dumb Days about this, like just a lot of people in this space.
Yeah.
Do you feel the need to like define everything and like tie it all up with like a nice tidy bow and like this goes in this pocket, this goes in this pocket, or are you okay with it kind of all just being up in the air?
I'm kind of okay with it being up in the air, to be honest. I think I'd drive myself crazy if I were to try to make everything perfect.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it would, obviously in a perfect world, I'd like everything to be exactly where it's supposed to be. But no, I think explaining it to me just helps me like realize it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's why I do feel the need to explain it, but it's like I am explaining it to you, but at the same time, it's like I'm explaining it to myself.
Yeah. I do the same thing very often.
Yeah.
Like I'll walk back and I'm like, okay, well this fits in this pocket and this fits in this pocket. And I'm really, really obsessed with this idea of like every company that exists in this bubble in any way, shape, or form, they kind of there's like 4 or 5 businesses within it that they all just revolve around in different ways and like find whichever one works for them first, right? And you know, it's like media, events, there's a production company side of it often, there's management, sometimes you develop a record side and make it into a label. It's like you can kind of, as a business in music, dive into all those categories. There's always ways to do it, but I think the question is often figuring out like which one works for you. You need one of them to make money, and even if one of them makes money, they can like prop up the rest of it. But you got to figure out which one in the short term.
There's always there needs to be a pool, and for me right now it's TikTok. But I'm using that to be able to fund the concert I threw, or concerts I want to throw next year. Yeah. Or really anything that kind of comes up. In the meantime, I'm using kind of the TikTok money, to fund it as much as I can. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it almost shapes out to be a label. The more I think about it, but because I do manage like 2 artists. Yeah. Do music videos and all that. I'm kind of funding a little bit of what they're doing too. So yeah. I don't know. It is a little bit scattered all over the place, but I do have ideas. I'm going to kind of use the content that I make to fund those ideas. Yeah. Which is where long form is also going to be very helpful. Yeah, man, I'm growing every day, really. I'm just trying to kind of figure it out every day. Yeah, it feels, sometimes it can get daunting and like to feel like you need to figure out, you need to know everything now. Yeah. I think I got into a pocket in the past like 6 months where I definitely felt like that for a while, where I was like,
God, dude, like I've been doing this for 6.5 years. Like fucking, like why don't I know exactly what it is yet?
Yeah.
Like you know, like you want to know it because it's yours, right? Like you grew it from the ground up. Like you want to know exactly what it is and figure it out. But sometimes you just need to explore all avenues before like every rock is turned over.
Absolutely. Oh, I completely agree. I mean, and I've kind of had a few things that I did try that didn't work out. For instance, I did interviews for Pigeons and Planes like a few months ago, and I was just like, I'm not good at interviews. I'm just really not. You know, I'm not really. I'm honestly not good at outside of my room for the most part. So like going into an interview setting can be a little bit daunting for me. And I mean, I did interviews at Wonderworld Fest like 2 years ago. It was like right when I had my blow up, and I was like, at that moment, it was so weird. I was interviewing like these really big artists, and I was very, very new to everything. And I was just like, I didn't know. I'm not good at interviewing. I'm really not. So,
it's a muscle, dude. It takes a while.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. But I don't do it a lot.
Yeah.
I've done like one with Corey, just like a fun one. And it was funny enough, pretty good because it was, Corey, it's my best friend.
Yeah.
That's something I definitely know I'm not good at.
Yeah.
And, there's other things that I know I'm good at the content at this point. I mean, first year I was like, is this it? Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
And then I eventually figured it out, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing.
Is the content like what stays at the top of your brain more often than not? How are you kind of structuring your days between like, because obviously you're in management, that's a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
You're in media, that's a 24/7 job. You're trying to grow, during shows as well, and like all these other things. You're trying to expand in the long form. What does like your day even like look like? Like, are you just kind of bouncing back and forth from like the content to the management stuff, or what does it kind of feel like?
They all really do go hand in hand. The content is able to be used as a tool as a manager.
Yeah.
I'm able to, manage my artists and use my platforms to push and promote what they're doing. I think the content is always at the front of my brain. I'm always thinking about what's my next video going to be. If I open Instagram and see something that is interesting to me, I'll be like, that could be a video. I could figure something out with that. But yeah, it is all tied together at the same time. And I think it helps me to have so much going on at the same time.
Interesting.
I do think that is something that like really keeps me going because...
Just because there's always something to do?
Yeah, it's like if I get really bored with filming a video or editing a video, I'm just like, I need a break. And this is something that I learned a few years ago is I'll just do graphic design because I'm like, okay, that's very therapeutic to me, and I'm working a muscle, and it's something that is going to help my career. So it's almost like taking a break from one thing to do another is very helpful to me, and I think that's why I've kind of taken on so many things at the same time. That's just kind of how I've worked throughout all of this, and I don't know, I don't even consider it's weird, I don't consider it work. So it's like I could get off my computer and play video games, or I could just do Photoshop. It's very much the same feeling to me. Damn, that's so cool. It's I don't know, it's how I've like kind of worked throughout all of this and learned to love every aspect of everything.
Do you see it like when you just began the TikTok thing? Was management and shows and all this other stuff at the front of your mind? Were you like, oh, it'd be amazing to expand into this, or was that just kind of a thing that came?
It was kind of just like I'd see a show happen and I'm like, I want to throw a show too. That'd be cool. I have the platform, I could do it. And I kind of just, I'm almost like adding things to a docket every time I accomplish something. So.
That's interesting to me that you like see it kind of culminating into a label form of some sort. That makes a lot of sense, I think, because it is kind of all encompassing.
Absolutely.
Which I think is something that's really, really, really sick. And like I said, like I think about this a lot. Like I really think like there's like these like 5 revolving businesses. Like I have a bubble map over there.
I saw the bubble map when I walked in, and I was like, nice.
Yeah, that's kind of like where
I've seen Live 2's bubble map as well.
Yeah, me and McClellan redo our bubble maps like every month. We have like a little date.
That's good.
Yeah, but like I think about it so often, and I think it's like it can get very daunting. It's like a very specific business, I feel like, and it's interesting because like I think the business is so specific because there's no fucking money in music, and it's just like everybody trying to recompensate and like figure out like how they can strategically work their way into places where they can take money from majors
for something, and they're paying you back in a month.
It's
kind of how it works. So.
Yeah, exactly. That was like an interesting realization I had recently when I was thinking about this exact thing, where I was like, damn, dude, like no one in music is like making their own money. They're just like finding strategic ways to get money from labels.
Yeah.
That's like all anybody in music is doing.
I wouldn't say there's no money in music because labels have just it's an insane amount of money. It's ridiculous, and they're able to I guess use it to grow their platforms and like kind of feed the smaller ones, but it takes the smaller ones to like do something dramatic to get to their level. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is something pretty dramatic.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. I totally feel it. When you're like kind of going into a new venture, right? Like when like something, you know, when you see a shiny object, you're like, I want to pursue that. Like something like shows or management or whatever the newest thing is. Do you feel like having that willingness to change is something that's like affected you positively throughout your career? Like being able to, you know, be a filmmaker and then be like, oh, this TikTok stuff's working, I'm gonna do that. Or like this show went well, I'm gonna do that. Like, have you found that you become better at adapting over the years?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of been, when I first started in music videos, I've taken a very like adaptable approach to like the way I work. That's how I started getting into management, is I was just filming all these videos. Yeah. I'd want the videos to do well, so I'd start pushing the artist, and that would in turn push my videos. So it's kind of just baked into like what I do, I think. If I just see an opportunity, I'm able to, it's weird. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. It just happens. Like the management kind of just happened. You know, I was filming for Lunar, and then eventually I was just like, yo, we're working all the time. Do you need a manager? And then he's like, yeah, I'd love that. Yeah,
and it just like made sense.
Yeah.
I always find the best management situations are the ones that like just could fall into place in that regard, where it's like they might as well just happen already, but they haven't. It's like those always feel like the ones that are the best.
Absolutely. And it's like the funny thing, me and Corey weren't friends before management.
Really?
I just listened to his music. He was from my area, and I was like, yeah, I want to work with this kid. He's good. He's really, really good. But he was honestly like better than a lot of the people I was working in LA with. So when it came to like managing him, then the friendship started after. I wouldn't recommend you manage your best friend. You know? I think that's a great idea. But yeah, it happened naturally, very naturally.
That's beautiful, bro. Do you remember like the first moment when you kind of began doing the media stuff, when you were like, all right, like I think I'm gonna make the jump and try to do this full time? Like, were you half in, half out for a bit?
So yeah, kinda. I just stopped going into work. Because my manager, like, I was just getting paid a paycheck for a video, and I was like, dude.
It's like, fuck this.
I can't just like, what am I gonna like? I can't just pretend like go into work and come home and try to justify going into work. It was like, I'd rather just put.
Where were you working at the time?
I was working at a juice bar.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I was working at Nectar Juice Bar. Okay. For 4 years, and then I had met my manager, and he was basically just, I was getting stable income at that point. Yeah. And a video would take me at that time like an hour and a half, and I'd get paid more than a day. So I was like,
what the fuck am I doing?
Why am I still? And it's like that even was the case for school for me. Is I was still in college at the time.
Where were you going to school?
I went to Long Beach for a day.
Okay, for a day?
Yeah. So this is a funny story. I was at Long Beach. I went to orientation, and then they were like, this is actually funny enough, like what kind of jump started everything. I was at Long Beach College. I went to orientation, and they were basically like, you're not on the list. You didn't get credits. I was like, what do you mean? I was
from where?
From like, my old community. I like failed a class or whatever, and they're like, yeah, you can't come. I'm like, okay, that sucks. I was like freaking out. Go back to my counselor. I'm like, what do I do? My counselor's like, not a great counselor. She's just like, I don't even really, you can go to ASU or whatever. And I'm like, like, I don't know if I want to do that. So then I was just like, all right, fuck it. And that was actually what caused me to film the first video. And I was,
whoa.
yeah, that was like the big breaking point where I was like, okay, I don't have anything going on. I'm just going to do TikTok.
Yeah.
You know? And I was working at that job I didn't love. You know, I was just still doing community college because I needed that one credit.
It was one credit?
It was one credit. And I have a funny story about that as well. And then I started making the videos. Within a month, they'd like blown up.
It was that quick.
It was that quick. And when people say TikTok will change your life overnight, they're truly not lying.
Yeah.
Because it was, I think, 100K in a month or two.
That's crazy.
And then that's how I got introduced to like a lot of big artists. Ryan, my manager, like introduced me to a lot of people. It's so weird, dude. Like, it was like, I think it was August. I was working at Nectar. 2 months later, I'm on the tour bus for Wonderworld Fest, which is the biggest dream come true.
Yeah.
And that like kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
How quickly everything changed. And going back to that
2 month span. Wow.
It's like, can you imagine?
Nah,
like,
dude, yeah, it's crazy.
I went from being like a fan of Midwest and Aries and, you know, all these big artists.
Yeah.
I was interviewing him 2 months later. And funny enough, I remember the reason I brought up the one credit.
Yeah.
I had a final due on the Wonderworld bus. And I was sitting next to Hive Mind. And I'm just like looking at my phone. I'm like, why am I taking this final? Like, I don't think I need to. I think I'm going to do music stuff.
Yeah.
So I eventually got to the point where I'm like, all right. And I just dropped out. I dropped out on the bus because I'm like,
you just did it right there?
Well, I granted I did it because I'm like, this is a good story.
Yeah.
I dropped out on the tour bus.
Yeah.
It was a great story. So I dropped out on the bus and didn't take the final, and I think things are going pretty well.
How long ago was that?
That was 2 years ago.
Fuck like yeah, dude.
November 2 years ago.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it was wild how everything played out.
Yeah, man. It's like, I think that's like kind of a testament to the idea of you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Like, just keep going every single day, because tomorrow could be the day. Like, you just literally never know.
We're in a world right now where things happen quick.
Yeah.
I mean, quick. Even like Flawed Mangoes, great example. Guy was making music for a while. It was doing okay. He was producing for Somber, but then he just started posting his own stuff and blows up overnight. He's one of the biggest artists in the world. It's a guitarist. You know who that is?
No.
Flawed Mango. He makes that song. You know Hopecore videos?
Yeah.
You know that one guitar that's playing in the background all the time? That's Flawed Mango.
Okay,
he
gotcha.
Just posts his guitar, yeah. And it was like, he's a good example of...
But he just blew up.
Literally, those Hopecore videos started blowing up. His life changed. He's on Kai Cenat's stream a week later.
That's so insane.
So I think, and I do go into content every day with that in mind. Like, this could be the video that does 20 million.
Yeah. Which I think is kind of what you have to do. Like, I think you kind of have to lean into that lottery mentality. I know people could maybe say that's like unhealthy because then you're just riding on every single video, but I think there's a lot of truth to that mentality, like making it exciting to do. Like it's like just knowing like this could be the one, you know?
Yeah, it's literally putting it all in black, you know? That's what you got to do.
Do you experience a lot of burnout with it?
Yes.
I feel like I've heard a lot of people in like the content and TikTok space specifically talk about that.
Yeah. So the way I explain this is making content, doing what I do is not a hard job.
Yeah.
It's really not. Don't let anyone tell you it is. But, you know, I'm not talking like running a company like what you or Live to do, but sitting down and making content as your job is not hard. But oh my God, it's so taxing.
Yeah, dude.
Because
it's very monotonous.
It's monotonous. You're literally like your life. I'm not even joking. Is run by a number.
Yeah, man. It's stressful.
It's an everyday. You know, every few months, people will, you know, at a regular job, people get like performance reports. Every few months, I am kind of getting a performance report every day.
Yeah.
And that really does cause me to be like, fuck. I'm burnt. I can't do that. Especially like if weeks go by and I don't have anything happen. You know, it's hard to keep pushing at that point.
Yeah, dude, it can fuck with your mental, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think that also brings into question, like, the whole, like, do you want to just remain as, like, one individualized influencer that's doing this for themselves? Or do you want to, like, build a company out of it, you know?
I want to build a company because then it's not all me.
Yeah.
You know, I do like the idea of my friends, because I'd probably have my friends help me with it.
Yeah.
Doing well. And at the same time, it's like I don't have to put all that pressure on myself. I'm gambling with a bunch of people instead of just me.
Yeah, yeah. I do feel like it's a fair question though.
Absolutely.
Like I feel like I've like talked to a lot of people about that, because it's like, I mean, I'm on the same page as you. Like I definitely feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
That's way more appealing to me. But I also like totally respect, like if I just wanted to do interviews and then like, you know, whatever, be like a music influencer or whatever, like I totally respect somebody who would just want to do that, because there's a lot less to it. Like for the most part, you're just worrying about yourself and this and that or whatever. But I think there's I don't know, there's like a bit of a ceiling on it, and I think like if you just unilaterally stay in that one place, eventually your creative ambition is going to get bigger and you're not going to have a way to fulfill it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it basically takes the stress from here to here. When you're running a company, it's a different type of stress, but it's that number I've noticed, because I mean, the one way I was able to combat that, you know, because it was getting toxic, the idea of like my number was everything. I just started new pages. And if a video didn't do well on one page, maybe I post another video on another page. And that's kind of like the idea of like, I think building a business is you're not going to have success here, but if you have success in this part of things, that's good. And maybe this success could affect this success. So I think I like having more, and that kind of goes back again to like all the things I do. Yeah. And I also do those to kind of combat that kind of toxic nature of social media, which is like, it is part of my life. If I didn't have to be on social media, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be like all encompassing, bro. Like it can swallow you. Yeah. In a way that's so overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, even just even if I wasn't on TikTok, I wasn't making videos, if I was just like, I've noticed a lot of people just are on social media a lot. It'll like change your mind about everything. Yeah. Like the way you think, everything. It's like, I wouldn't recommend you do the screen time I do if you're not kind of creating or whatever. And I think me and you both, like, it's part of your job as well, you know? Yeah.
Did you feel like growing up you were like more of an online kid in that regard? Because I've definitely found like people that do things that are like adjacent to what we do or what I do as well. Like it definitely feels to me that very often those kids were like very raised by the internet type of kids. Like, do you relate to that?
Yes, I was the. You ever know those guys on Instagram that made GoPro edits?
Yes.
Like with waves and stuff. Yeah. I was one of those kids.
Nice.
That's how I got into editing.
Oh, interesting.
I'd make GoPro edits of like the beach and then post them on my Instagram.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that kind of got me into editing, but also weirdly enough, social media. I also, my first like viral videos, you know, whatever, but they were mountain bike videos. Oh, because I used to mountain bike and make GoPro edits to that. So like that was also, it was all posted to like, it's called Pink Bike. Shout out Pink Bike.
Pink Bike.
It was this like mountain biking social media website. And it's funny because I look at the content I'm making now, and that was 15 years ago. And I'm like, oh, I was kind of just doing the same thing. I'd make an edit, I'd promote it. Yeah. Which is basically like promoting a music video, and then I'd post it. Yeah. And I think that has definitely translated into what I do now. I think you even look at like Discord kids, and they're just good on the internet. Yeah, I think I just from a young age, you know, I'm 25 now, so at a young age I was like, I grew up with that. Yeah. You know, I grew up with Facebook and all that stuff. So I think I just got really into it, and I like getting likes, man. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, like, it was a good feeling. I was like, ooh. And
a lot of those kids, like when you say they're good at the internet, like I know exactly what you mean. They just like work their way around it in like a very specific way. And I think that's like a really savvy skill for anybody who like wants to make content on the internet as well. It's like you especially are incredibly good at this. You're wildly good at like knowing what's next, and wildly good at like knowing like the trends. Like you were talking about like net spend before I like really knew very much about net spend like at all. And you always know like what's gonna be like the next like thing in music and whatever that is. Granted, it's in the, you know, it's usually in a pretty like specific space, but like within that space, you tend to always know like what is gonna catch fire.
I'm glad you knew that you paid attention. I try to. It's funny enough, a lot of those like I'm able to look at my comments sometimes and just kind of realize oh, so many people are talking about Ian or Netspend, and I'm like, if this many people are talking about it, I might as well look into it.
Yeah.
So it kind of starts from my comment section. I'll go on to Twitter and notice there's like an insane amount of buzz. And then I think Netspend got a Lyrical Lemonade video like a week or two after, and like Ian was also like a similar case. But
those kids are like the focus group, bro. Like
they are.
Your comment section's like the focus
truly,
group.
I mean, I think another thing that a lot of creators, myself included, like I need to understand like my audience, because it's funny, I have 2 different accounts. One of them, if I post a video about Glaive on my main account, my big account, if I post about Glaive, it won't do that well. But I have a second account where it's like all Hyperpop fans.
Interesting.
And they will eat it up every time. So I think it's knowing your audience, and listening to your audience is so important. I think a lot of people tend to just post and put their phone down and not pay attention to their Discord, or like listening to your audience is extremely important.
Yeah.
Extremely important.
Very, very, very important. Did you make that second account how far into it did you end up making that second account?
I had this is a funny story. Yeah, I want to hear it. Tony, my friend Tony, was like giving me shit. He's like, you can't go viral, blah blah blah. I was like, all right, dude. So I was playing a video game at the time called Descenders, a bike game, and I would like post clips from it like 3 years ago, and it went very viral. It did like 1 million views, and I didn't tell him about it until like months later. And I'm like, yo, you said I couldn't go viral. Bam, here's my video game bike page.
No way.
He was like, oh my God, you did it. And then that page became my second account.
How'd you do that?
I don't know. I just used trending audios and looked at what worked and kind of figured it out.
But that's what I mean. Like, some people are just savvy with that. I'm not like that. Like,
yeah, I think it is like, again, it's a muscle. Your brain, when you're doing content, your brain learns what you're the content you're digesting. It's like, can I make this into a video?
Yeah.
I kind of look at when I open Hyperpop Daily or whatever news agency, and I see they post about Netspend or fruit snags or like whatever. I look at it and I'm like, is there a video here? I think there is. Like, one that's coming to mind that I was thinking on the drive up was Young Dabo going on stage at the Cardi show.
See, this is like another level of tapped in.
Trust me.
I know what you're talking about.
This kid is like a very much like a Cardi glazer.
Okay.
And he got like, do you know Dabo?
Of course
you know
he does,
Dabo.
bro.
Okay, bro. He's like the Cardi glazer.
He's like a 42 CEO of sorts.
You know 42?
Yeah.
Are you a 42?
Of course.
I love 42, man. That guy's.
That's my goat.
Shout
bro.
out Unk, man, dude. He's blowing up.
I want him to come on the podcast, bro.
Please ask him.
Yeah, dude, we should ask him.
He'll get the opium bow tie.
Yeah, dude. I've been following him since the 42 Daily days.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then it blew my mind when he transitioned just to start doing 42 CEO shit.
Legendary.
I remember he used to do those. What would an A&R's favorite like sandwich be?
What's an A&R?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, or he'd be like,
oh, so tapped in.
Yeah, dude, it's so cooked.
I met him at the Destroy Lonely show.
Oh God,
he has more motion than anyone I've met.
Yeah,
truly. I mean, he goes anywhere, and everyone's like, Unk. He's like screaming at him. They all love that guy.
Yeah, dude, that culture is so like they would love him.
He's really smart. He's done what a lot of like really smart influencer. He's made a character.
Yeah.
About himself, because I don't think he's actually like that. He's like kind of made himself into a character.
Yeah.
And he's able to like show that to his audience, and he understands his audience will love that.
Yeah, I feel like very often those people are like those kind of influencers, like it's just like an exacerbated version of themselves, though.
Yeah,
like he definitely actually loves that shit.
Oh, he does. I know
he's
he does.
Got to.
I know
for
he does.
sure.
He made the 42 account. Like,
yeah,
that was his life, and he's made it. Like, he has actually made it. He just ran the social media for Rolling Loud last weekend. Like,
no way, really?
He was in charge of the TikTok. They were only posting. He was the only one posting from their TikTok.
That's crazy.
The fans loved it.
That's so cool, bro. Rolling Loud's so smart for that.
They are genius.
I think you and him are like actually interesting examples of somebody who like they tried a bunch of shit, and then they just found the thing.
Yep.
And then it's kind of like different phases. It's like trying all kinds of shit, finding the one thing that works, and then it's like taking that thing, harnessing it, and then building everything else you want to do off the back of that.
Right.
Which I find is like a really common trend with a lot of people who find success in this.
Absolutely.
I think it's just a matter of finding that thing, though.
I think, yeah, for me, it was like when I very first started posting, it's like it wasn't the first few videos. I think it was like the 10th video that blew up, but I was like trying to do cover art videos. I was trying to do like, here's a recap of my show and all, you know, I was trying to do graphic design videos. And then eventually I found the not like the fans of videos that I did where I tried to make fun of an artist, and it blew up. That like really blew my account up.
How did you find? Did you just make one of those and then you found the format, or?
I was just like, I was truly in a bad mood. Like that's what people don't understand. They're like, oh, he's joking, and I was like, no, I was really not happy when I made that. I was just like,
what was the first one?
It was break-ins.
Okay,
fans of break-ins, and I was like, this guy, fans of break-ins. This guy sucks. Blah blah blah. And then I put the edit at the end. I truly was just like making that because I was like, I came off work. I was like in a bad mood. It was a bad shift.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, let's try to make a video, I guess. And then we made the video. And it did like, I think it did 60K, which is good. And then, you know, I realized if that video did 60K, let's build off of it. It's kind of a trend. I guess I could make this into a trend. And then the next video did 80K. And then we eventually got them. I think it was averaging 600 or 700K on that series, which that's like really what like I became known for, and I'm kind of putting it to the side now. Yeah,
because those were so successful so quickly, and I'm curious why you put them to the side. But it was there a fear of like not being able to make things outside of that? I feel like a lot of people have struggled with that when they find one thing that really works and they harness in on it, rightfully so, like they should.
Yeah,
but it can become difficult when I think like the people are waiting for that, and like that's not all you want to do, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get away from it for a while because it's like I don't want to be that. I mean, my friends were always telling me, Colton, do the fans of videos again. They're gonna do well, and I do them maybe once a month.
Yeah.
Now,
which makes sense.
It's fun. It's, you know, whatever. It's a blast from the past. It's cool. But it was tough. I mean, there was a period where I wasn't doing those, and I didn't have ideas, and I didn't know like. It was almost good I did that because now I understand social media more. At first I understood that trend.
Yeah.
Now I understand, I think, social media. Because it was like when I'm doing that day in, day out for a year.
Yeah,
every day, like 1 or 2 a day. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And then every now and then I'd post other videos in there. But it was rare. It was rare that I'd do that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of challenge myself, put those off to the side. I also got really bored of saying fans of, like, I'm so done with that.
Yeah. I do think like those who kind of prioritize the long-term success and growth of something over like the short-term like hammering down as hard as they can on like one thing, I think those people in the long run tend to be more calculated and also tend to like benefit from it. I think like I said, like you could have just kept doing that forever, but it's just like there's not really like anywhere that's you know,
it's not going to take me anywhere. It's like I will fully just be known as that. But now I have gone into like a little bit more of like a news outlet source type of thing. I still try to be funny on my pages because that's how I built it. That's like my core audience. Like they want it to be slightly funny, so I still do that. But if I kept doing that trend forever, I wouldn't be able to still be doing this. Yeah. There's no way.
You got to adapt. You always got to be changing and figuring out the next thing, which can be disheartening when you feel like you figured out the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because it takes so long to figure out the thing, and then you only do that for so long.
Yeah, it was like that. That trend got me to like the base of the mountain.
Yeah.
You know? Not the whole mountain. I'm still climbing it, but it got me to the base for sure. And I think I don't know. I was very happy with that trend, but I had to put it to rest. It was funny meeting artists that saw the videos.
Yeah. That's interesting. That'd be crazy.
I remember I saw Eric DOA and Glaive at a concert, and they go, "You're that fucking guy." I think Eric was like, my mom pulled me in and said, "You need to watch this video. This guy's making fun of your music." And they eventually watched the whole thing, and they're like, "Oh, it's a joke."
That's funny.
So the reaction from artists was really funny from that series.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Do you see yourself like? I know you mentioned you're kind of going into the long form stuff more now. Does that feel like the direction in terms of the future for you right now, like pursuing a lot more long form stuff? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I don't want to be on TikTok forever. No creator should want to be on TikTok forever. I think every famous TikToker has tried long form or tried something. Look at Addison Rae, she's doing music. Like,
I mean, it's hella good.
It's good. It's really good.
It's like incredible.
Oh my God, she did that. I'll get into that in a second. She did that very smartly. But yeah, I would like to go into long form a little bit more because it's like you get a real dedicated following on a long form series rather than seeing me on a screen for a minute or two.
Yeah.
So I have a few scripted out that I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of keep them. I'm not even really going to do album reviews, or it's going to kind of just be like music based long form content.
It's like video essay type stuff?
Yeah, not really. No, I mean, if you watch Hive Mind, it's like similar to what they're doing. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like that type of vibe where they're just like kind of having fun with music. So.
Yeah. That makes sense, bro. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like in the music space specifically, there's always like that meme of like the pitchfork writer, but I think some people just want to do that. Yeah. And I don't think there's enough like silly shit. Like I think there needs to be more like fun stuff like Hive Mind.
I think so too, and I think people tend to take music way too seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like I've done album reviews where sure I could love the album, but I'm still gonna like have fun listening to it.
Yeah.
Like Fantano. I think he is the best curator ever.
Yeah, man, he's the GOAT for sure.
He's actually I did a video with him a few weeks ago with
Ari Elkins, right? I saw that. Yeah.
And he's strictly like music. Like that's his life. You can tell
he's locked in, bro.
That he is locked in. The way he speaks is like, dude, I don't know how.
In what way? What do you mean?
It's almost like robotic, but everything he is saying is true.
Interesting.
And I think he's gotten so good at reviewing that he just has it on lock. Like everything he says just makes sense.
He's also like, I think, truth that like you don't need to like just talk about shit that's huge. You can talk about niche shit that you love if you can like find a way to make you the appeal of it. Because like Tyler fans aren't watching a Tyler the Creator Fantano review for like Tyler. They're watching it for what Fantano is saying about Tyler. You know what I mean? Like it's his take. It's what he is saying. That's what's valued.
Yeah, he's built a bigger platform than Pitchfork or any of these. And it's because he is the personality and he has built that fan base. And I think putting a face behind, it's gutsy.
Yeah, it's gutsy, very gutsy.
Because he gave Taylor Swift's albums pretty bad scores. So that's a gutsy thing, but I do think he's really good at it. But he's like kind of someone that takes music listening very, very seriously. Yeah, I'm not shading him for that, but when I listen to music, I feel like I try to have fun as much as I can, and when I'm reviewing, I'm kind of the same way.
I wonder if that's like I wonder if Fantano. I'm trying to articulate this in a way that sounds like I'm not shitting on Fantano in this regard, but I think like I wonder if he like listens subjectively often without trying to draw a conclusion. Like I feel like it would be so difficult to do what he does, and this is coming from somebody who works in music. Yeah. But I think it would be but I still so often will listen to music for fun, and I guess he must still be able to do that, but I don't know. Like, it's got to be such an interesting perspective to what he does.
It's got to take enjoyment out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've even noticed that.
So have I, yeah.
Just with working in it every day, and like, if I get sent an offer to do, a video for an artist I like, and I haven't heard the album yet, I go into it listening differently when I know I have to make a video on it.
Yeah.
So I think Fantano probably has that to the extreme where, for instance, when, say Charlie XCX's album came out, he was anticipating it.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because he has to go into it already being a fan of Charlie and subjectively listen to that for the first time.
Yeah.
Like he's giving up a lot just by doing what he does because he has to go into things with like no preconceived notions, and that's why he's so good at it. I
will say though, I think Fantano is actually like the best anti-hero like possible, because I do think that like if you and I believe this about most people, I think if I'm like I love this, and then you're like I hate this, I'm way more likely to like be okay with your opinion if you sat here for 10 minutes and told me exactly how you felt that way.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like,
that's a really good point.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
that's a really good point.
Like, I'd probably just be like, oh, like, Colton doesn't like it like I do. That's okay. You know, like,
Yeah.
that's what Fantano does. Like, even when he doesn't like something, he's never just like the worst thing you can fucking do is be a hater and then be like, oh, like, I don't fuck
I
with
don't
that.
know the reason. I just don't.
I don't feel it.
Which
You
is
know,
which is why he's so impressive to me, is because
Yeah.
sometimes I'll listen to an album and there's no real reason I can think of as to why I don't like it
or even like it.
or like it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I like it or I don't. And he's incredible. Like he's incredible. I played him a Ryan Hall song.
Well, had you heard him before or no?
No.
That's actually surprising. I'm surprised he had never heard of Ryan Hall.
Yeah, I played him a Ryan Hall song, and he was like, "Yeah, it was all right." And he gave me like an exact reason why. I didn't want to. I had like the choice to pick a song.
What'd he say?
He was like, "It's just not interesting to me. I do think it's cool how he's fusing electric guitar with these new hyperpop glitchcore elements." And I was like, "Yeah, I agree."
That's like such
why
a.
like it,
I was
you
like,
know?
yeah, that's a valid take, bro. Like just because you're partial to a sound doesn't mean that like it's
Yeah.
objectively better or worse, you know. Which is something that I actually like about Fantano too. Because if you watch his stream, because I don't know, like Fantano's funny. I tend to like him a lot. I disagree with like a ton of his takes. Like I think we have very different tastes.
He gave Break-In's Hypochondria.
I know.
5.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
It was like a strong 5.
I was
Yeah,
so
I think.
upset about that.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say though, I think my taste and your taste align a lot.
Of course.
And
yeah.
I think like a lot of other people, like I think a lot of other people might like agree with the Hypochondriac take. I think that album's incredible. It's like a close to a 10 for me.
I agree.
Yeah, but that's like, and I go back to that album all the time. But like I think, what was I saying? Oh yeah, like I tend to disagree with a lot of Fantano's takes, but I tend to like him as a person because even stuff that he doesn't like he never fakes an opinion on anything.
No.
Which I love. Where like even when you listen to his streams, like if he listens to something, he'll be like, that was okay. Or like, that was all right. Like I like that he's not trying and stretching to like have a strong opinion on something that he doesn't have a strong opinion on.
Yeah, exactly. Or even like do you know how much he probably has gotten offered from labels to
It's
be like,
ridiculous.
can you give this album a 10?
Yeah.
He's probably gotten offered millions.
I guarantee
millions to do that.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
And he is just not. Listen, if someone offers me $1 million
Yeah.
to say, Colt, can you say this is a 10? I'm doing it instantly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I apologize, but
Yeah,
that's
dude.
$1 million.
Yeah, what the fuck? You kidding me?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Dude, I would interview JoJo Siwa for $1 million.
Yo,
like,
my God.
I interview anybody. Like, that's
Give
crazy,
me like
dude.
100,000.
Yeah,
You know,
dude.
give me 10,000.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I
Fuck
mean?
it. Like,
What do you mean?
yeah, like, I do this anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, that is incredibly impressive that he's like that. And I will say, I think that level of discipline is like why he is where he is.
Absolutely.
Because I also think when you get a 10 by Fantano, you achieve this floor as an artist that you previously did not have. For example, I think about like an artist like Spelling. She's not huge by any stretch of the imagination, but because Fantano gave her album a 10, she will never not have like some resemblance of a career. Whereas like some other artists, if that didn't happen, it's pretty fucking easy to go from 100,000 monthly listeners to like 0. Like it happens all the time. But like with her, I think she'll just always exist in at least a baseline level of relevancy because she's one of the 10s.
Well, I think a great example, he's good at, his scores are really helpful to artists because if he gives someone a 5, I can give an exact story for this, then that artist is going to see that and go, I have to improve.
Yeah.
If you've seen Quadeca's trajectory,
Oh yeah.
he went from like his
What's Scrapyard get?
Scrapyard. I'll get to that in a second. So he gave his first album was Voice Memo. I think he gave it a 5. Then his next album was For Me to You, got a 6, and then I Didn't Mean to Haunt You got like a 7.5, and Scrapyard got a 9.
I think I agree with all of those ratings.
It was great. And he's literally come out and said like, that helped me. Like as an artist, that helped me
That's
a lot.
cool.
Because I saw like I didn't just look at your rating and go, whatever, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like like if you take his rating seriously and you're an artist that he's rating,
Yeah.
there's like a lot of, it pushes you, you know.
Imagine Quadeca in the studio recording Guide Dog, and he's like, Fantano can't fucking like.
How could you not love this song?
Yeah, he's like, I'm making this for you, Anthony.
I put that as my #1 song this year was Guide Dog.
Yeah, that's a great take.
I just think it was.
I think that album is getting ridiculously underloved.
I agree.
strongly feel that way. It's like one of my top 3 albums of the year, and I've been saying that like the whole year. And I feel like I feel like I've been screaming that from the rooftops, and like
Yeah.
I appreciate you
Of
feeling
course.
very similarly.
Oh, I've loved to see that trajectory. I love the YouTube artist trajectory.
Yeah, it's really pretty cool.
So you have like Aries,
Yeah.
who obviously is like one of my favorite.
Let's
Aries,
go.
You know, one of my favorite artists.
It's a really sick hoodie.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
He always just cooks on his merch.
That's
So
sick.
it's cool. He's one of those YouTube artists that kind of made a very solid career of himself.
Eric DOA is kind of doing the damn thing now as a streamer.
Yeah. Eric did the streaming route, and then you look at Quadeca,
Yeah.
who was literally like his music wasn't good
Yeah.
back then.
Sisyphus, though, I go back to all the time. That song's incredible.
It's one of his best.
Yeah.
I think it was like my third favorite.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you know Ramzoid.
Yes.
Do you see what he just did?
No.
There was a Cardi performance. You know the Cardi performance at Rolling Loud?
Uh-huh.
He just posted something saying like he worked on the song with The Weeknd and Cardi,
What the fuck?
which is insane to me.
Yeah, bro.
You see like these YouTube
YouTube,
artists.
man, yeah.
People always, I said this in a video years ago. I said people always talk about the SoundCloud era.
The YouTube era.
The YouTube era is so impressive to me.
Yeah, but there's like not that many of them, right?
There's three.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4. But like it's still like I look at those 3 or 4 and I'm like, oh my god, these
It's pretty cool.
like
yeah.
it's cool seeing that start, and it's cool as like
KSI, you know? From the pen to the king.
he had one other song like I wish the other one blew up because it wasn't bad.
Yeah, there was KSI's been making music for like a long time. Like,
He's never been terrible, but he's never been good.
yeah.
He's just he's the lettuce of music. You know what I mean? That makes sense because it's like you get a burger, if there's lettuce on it, you're gonna be
You're
like,
like, oh, there's lettuce there.
all right, I don't really care.
It's there, I guess.
Yeah.
I could see you really moving into the long form game and doing really well. It feels like a trajectory where like I think of the concept a lot of like how it's much better to walk backwards than it is to stay stagnant.
Yeah.
Like I think you should always be walking forward, or backwards. I think
That's
staying
actually a really good point.
still is the
Yeah.
worst thing you can do. If you're walking back, it just means you're trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like you're like backtracking. You're just you're literally expanding. You're just trying something new.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a very good
I
quote.
think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like stagnation is the enemy of progress. Like the goal is to walk back or forward.
And that's kind of what I'm gonna do next year. I mean, especially like you heard about the TikTok ban that might happen.
Dude, yeah.
So that's like,
Which is terrifying and like a crazy reminder of how fickle all this shit is.
yeah. Well, it's the way I was thinking about this. I get asked this question so many times. What are you gonna do if the ban happens? I don't think it's a terrible thing for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's like I am stable right now. I'm, okay. If anything, it's going to push me to want to do something else. And
Yeah.
I've already wanted to do something else. I just haven't had that push. And just like what got me into TikTok is like I had that push of getting kicked out of college, and like that really motivated me to do this. So this goes away. It's just going to be another push to do something else.
I'm really, really curious as to like, dude, like the implications of that are actually huge.
Oh, I know.
Like,
Yeah.
I suppose I haven't like really considered it, but like, God, that would shake the music industry to its core. It would change everything.
It would.
It would change everything.
It would be like if SoundCloud shut down at its peak.
Yeah.
Or if I don't know, YouTube music, like when YouTube music, when people were just promoting all their stuff on there, if that just stopped.
I mean, would it
its peak.
really like, cause I suppose like if everything that was on TikTok just like translated to Reels, that's like what would happen, right?
It's gonna be too oversaturated.
Yeah.
The issue that I think is gonna happen is the reason Reels is like kind of cooked right now, and is because it's like TikTok. You can't post stuff on Reels on TikTok.
It's so interesting. Like, yeah, you can't do it. Like, there's some people who I'm like, it's so rare that someone has both.
Yeah.
Like I think, do you know my friend Dreamhead Music?
Who?
Dreamhead Music.
I think I might have heard of the name.
Yeah, he's like a curator. But anyway, so like he's the opposite of you.
Yeah.
Whereas like his videos will only go on Instagram, but they don't do anything on TikTok. And like yours just do way better on TikTok than Instagram. Almost nobody has like the duality.
It's so tough
rare.
because I think that so that's the thing though, is I don't think it's gonna be there's some people that only post on TikTok, and all those people are just gonna go straight to Reels.
Yeah.
So Reels is gonna be it's gonna be the Wild West.
Yeah, bro.
Once again. And you're gonna see like again the oversaturation of follower counts, and I have 400,000 on TikTok, and my average viewership I think is 70,000.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like that on Instagram as well.
It was Trump who was saying he was going to ban TikTok, right?
No, it was Biden. He signed it, and then Trump was.
But Trump like supported it, right?
There's a meme going around where because Trump was like, Barron told me about TikTok. Everyone's like, Barron, please save us, bro.
Barron told me about net spend.
This Midnite cool guy. Yeah.
What was the other one, bro? I watched I saw a clip of the Joe Rogan, the Trump thing, and it was this clip where Trump was like, yeah, like when I first found you, Barron told me about you, and he said you were a great guy. And I was like, bro, Barron cooked the country, bro.
Barron is tapped in.
Barron's tapped in as fuck.
Barron's definitely watching Brain Rot.
Dude, Barron is definitely a geeker. Like, Barron, like, for show has a geek bar and shit, and, like, he listens to Two Hollis.
He's the first person to hit a geek bar in the White House.
Yeah, for sure. Gary, dude, yeah, Barron definitely, like, what's in his rotation right now, bro?
I will say, he's definitely got Two Hollis on there.
For sure, yeah.
Barron's got Two Hollis. He is, like, 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's huge, bro.
I'd say, if I'm Barron, I'm bumping that new Glaive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe like a EBK Young Jock, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or a lot of people are saying people were saying he was close to becoming Batman.
Yeah.
When the assassination attempt happened. So they're like, oh, Batman. So he's so close. They said he was an inch away from becoming Batman. So I'd say he has to have some Destroy Lonely.
Yeah,
in that rotation.
Sure, bro. He's definitely bumping Lone.
No, he has to be.
Do you think Barron knows about 42 CEO?
If he's on the internet, if he's on like even a little bit of the music side,
like consider the fact right now that there is a slight chance that at some point you came up on Barron's For You page.
I always think that, and I think that about like Drake or something, because I was making fun of Drake.
Yeah, which is like so okay.
It was like the easy thing. I also I never liked Drake, and I had an opportunity. Everyone hated Drake, so I was like, yes. Finally,
I'm in there.
Finally you're on my side.
Like, he might have seen it. You never know.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, there's a chance, because like Denzel Curry saw my video.
Yeah.
And when I went and I did like a shoot with him.
Oh yeah.
He goes, oh, that video was cute that you did.
It's cute is crazy, bro.
I was like, oh man.
Denzel,
it's weird.
I love you.
I film it in my room and I don't think anything of it. I just film it, post it. I'm like, nobody, people are gonna see it, but sometimes those people just like the number is so high sometimes that you're just like, I can't visualize a million people
dude,
at all.
There's no way to visualize that.
How am I supposed to,
Yeah. The internet's so fucking weird for that reason, bro.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like, we are not meant to conceptualize that.
We're not meant to, like, see this many people either.
No, ever.
Like, there's I see, like, if you think about it, I probably see, like, 500 people a day. It's on the internet or something.
You think? Like, just in general?
On the internet?
No, I mean, like, in real life.
No.
Oh,
in real life, I wake up, I go to the gym, I just sit in my lair all day.
Yeah.
That's what I do. But on the internet, it's like, I open my phone, I'm like, I see it. Like, it's hard to realize that they're people.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost like driving a car. People like tell you sometimes they're like, everyone's you don't
NPC
see,
or whatever.
they're NPCs when you're driving next to them.
Yeah.
You're yelling at, like, I don't know. I think the internet is a very similar idea.
Well, dude, I always think about that with cars even. Like, I'll be on the freeway, and to me, like, the cars are cars. They're not people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not considering, I'm like, oh, there's, like, a person driving that in the front seat. I'm just like, oh, it's a car. You know?
A lot. There's, like, what's the quote I heard? It's like, everyone's like a not a narcissist. Like I forgot the word. But it's like you don't...
The opposite of narcissist?
Yeah.
Like somebody who's incredibly empathetic? I don't know.
When you don't have empathy, what's that called?
Oh, narcissist, yeah, right?
Yeah,
I think
you're
it's
pretty much...
narcissist, right? Yeah. Narcissist, somebody who doesn't lacks empathy, yeah, right?
I think of a narcissist as someone who's like totally just self-obsessed.
Yeah. Like lacking empathy, right?
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
Basically, that's what I always think
We're
of.
close enough, yeah.
Yeah, when I think of cars, I'm like, that word's going to pop into my head in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Damn, all right.
I think you got it. Your Cardi brain, bro. Narcissist is only an album to you now.
Wait, did you say narcissist?
Did you say narcissist? Whoa.
Wait, did you say...
Huh?
You know what's funny? The massive meme right now?
Yeah.
You know the low taper fade meme?
Oh, yeah.
You know how Ninja was like... You know what's crazy is that meme is still massive.
Is it?
That's what Ninja said. And then it spun off into this whole second meme where
massive.
Ninja was dragging the meme. And now anytime I say massive in a video, most of my comments are just, you know what else is massive? So
The low taper fade meme.
So what I've intentionally been doing right now, it's
Say
big
massive.
brain. I've been scripting and I go, where do I put the word massive in here?
Oh yeah.
Try to put it in the first 15 seconds.
Throw it in there twice.
Oh yeah,
Fuck it.
I have. I literally, and I had a video to like 400K the other day. It had like 300 comments. 200 of them are, you know what else is massive? And I'm like, yes.
Your fan base is so cooked.
They are so
like
cooked.
like you might have the most cooked fan
They are
base
so,
alive.
I love them,
bro.
but they are so cooked.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
42's fan, no, 42's fan is a bit more cooked. But,
Have you met him?
oh yeah.
I was gonna say you guys got it. You guys got him. That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
We met at the Lone Show, bro. He was just like, oh, he's so funny, man. Like that guy he's really smart. He's
Yeah,
really
dude.
smart at what he does.
He's been in the fucking game forever, man.
He has, and he figured it out.
He did.
Maybe I'll start a character soon.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean,
This
like
will be like found footage.
Yeah.
of the after I start the character.
it's like Oliver Tree interview before you blew up.
Yeah.
But I think you'd have to like do it as like a separate thing, like how Fantano does it. He has like the whatever the other guy's name is.
Oh yeah.
The
What's his name?
Calcichesca, yeah. You got to have like a separate thing because like there's serious you and then there's like joke you. 42 CEO said, "Fuck the entire media company I've been building for the past 5 years. I'm gonna be a meme." Like he
Yeah.
just did that shit.
But it grew his company.
Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he is a smart guy. Like it definitely works. I think he is the definition of like any attention is good attention.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially in today's day and age, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
You could see, for instance, that band Lawrence, you know,
Yeah,
that had that one.
I was
song.
just talking about this. Yeah,
They had that song like blow up in a bad way.
yeah, it sucks.
It sucks.
It's bad.
And I made a video about it, and it did really, really well.
I was talking to somebody who was trying to tell me it wasn't that bad the other day, and I was like, we're not hearing the same thing.
It's not. I mean, okay. My thing about that song is it's not a bad song. It's just there's no creativity in it.
Yeah,
it's technically.
It's like AI music.
It's like technically everything is right.
It's like
But
one of the, it's like when people go like, this is like one of the songs of all time. That's like, yeah.
It's music theory music. You know,
Yeah.
I've noticed, and I
Yeah.
don't mean this like all people, but when I meet people that are very much like, I know music theory,
I feel the same way as you.
I know this, that,
Yeah.
and the other, and it's like. But sometimes it's better to not.
It can get
know-
dicey.
Yeah, it can get to be like, this sounds like AI music.
Yeah, bro.
And I think that's what that was. It was like I think it was Berkeley. They filmed it at, and it was just
Yeah.
like it came across horribly.
But you made a video about them.
I made two.
Uh-huh.
The first video was talking about how they sound like the Max Rebo band from Star Wars. That did really well.
That's funny.
And I'm sure they got streams from it.
Yeah.
And then I made a second video where they covered the Max Rebo band that also did really well. So they played into the joke. I said they did.
They saw it and they played into it?
They played into the joke.
That's
they
funny.
posted a second video.
That makes me like them more.
Yeah, I posted that, and then they like I don't know if they saw my video or whatever, but they covered the Max Rebo band.
Oh,
And
that's
it did
funny.
really well. And then I posted about that,
That's
and
funny.
I was like, "Y'all earned my respect." That was very smart of you.
It's pretty sick. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's cool when people are that internet savvy to where they just lean into the shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you
might
can't
as
take
well.
the internet serious, you just can't.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
The amount of messages I get every day that are just like, why I oughta, I hate
Yeah.
you, all this stuff. It's like, that's like at a certain extent where you kind of have to lean into that the internet is NPCs thing, because
It is. Yeah.
it can be a very good, fun place where you meet cool. I've met pretty much, we met through the internet.
Yeah.
I've met everyone through the internet. So you can meet a lot of great people, but like there's also just so much toxicity and just, like, anger on the internet that you kind of have to turn off at a certain point.
Have you seen a lot of that? I mean, just like getting to a place where like going TikTok viral was something that was happening to you regularly. Obviously, there's like a bunch of eyes on your shit. So like, did you get a lot of like people being mean and rude in the comments? And is that ever hard to not take to heart, or is it just easy to just be like, you're just like a 12-year-old saying something?
Yeah, I've never taken it to heart. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first started making those fans of videos, I would get threats sent my way,
What?
like full on threats.
Like DMs?
Yes, yeah, it was like very bad. But I was also just like, whatever. And I think I'm very lucky because I wasn't when I blew up on TikTok. I wasn't new to blowing up. Like I had blown up through Tony, or
Yeah.
Tony gave me like access to a second account, so I'd make videos on there and it would blow up. So it kind of trained me a little bit. It trained my mind to be like, don't take this seriously.
Yeah.
Because you like social media, if you're doing content creation, you shouldn't take it that seriously.
Yeah.
It should still be fun. And when people say terrible things, you can't, because you'll lose your mind. It's like, you can't take that to heart.
I mean, dude, our job is like if you have the job that you or me have, and you start acting like it is serious, you are essentially writing off the entire beauty of having this job.
Absolutely.
Because this job is so unserious.
It is.
Like, it doesn't matter. We're so lucky. It's extra. It's all just extra stuff.
It is. It is. I'm so we're so fortunate.
So lucky.
Like 1% of people can do this.
That's what I mean.
I'm just like, I'm so happy to do it, but I'm not going to sit here and act like me saying net spend is better than Kendrick Lamar is a serious take.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny
it's like,
because
obviously
the funniest thing to me is going to like Thanksgiving with my family or whatever.
Yeah.
And my like 80-year-old grandma's like, so what do you do for work? And I'm like, well,
that's always a tough one.
You ever heard of brain rot? Like, I don't know, like that.
Grandma, you ever heard of net spend?
Yeah, you ever heard of net spend? She's like, yeah, actually.
What do you say? Are you just like, I make videos on the internet?
I tried.
That's pretty much what I do.
I tried at first to explain it. My leg is fully dead, man. I tried to explain it at first to my family, like, oh, I'm just, I'm a music curator on the internet, and they didn't really get it.
So many layers there.
They're very supportive. Yeah, they're very supportive about what I do, but they're also like, I don't really know what you do, but good work,
Yeah, my parents get it a lot, and I think it became way more like once I kind of started focusing on throwing shows, that was way easier to digest.
Oh yeah, them. I mean, when I threw my show, I invited the whole family. Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, it's real," Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times.
How was that? That was a huge moment for me when I threw my first show. My family was there.
It was great. I mean, it was so cool to see. They know I work hard.
Yeah.
They know I'm in my room all the time. But I think that was, and even leading up to it, I was like, this is the fruition of everything. I think there's no better way as a content creator to see out that fruition of what you've done other than live music.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you are literally seeing your fan base there.
It's crazy.
And it was cool. I mean, I'm glad everything went great. I mean, it went great, but pre-show is always a nightmare.
Stressful, yeah.
It's always a nightmare, but it ended up, everything worked, so.
I'm super interested in this. Have you been able to, because if you have, this is rare and interesting and really, really cool. I was curious, 'cause I want to ask you this. You've done 3 shows, right? 2 shows?
2.
2 shows. This second one, this West Patrick and Illusion Hills one, were there kids there that were not even there for the artist, they were there for you?
Yeah. I have a funny story.
That is so rare.
So I had a kid. This is the power of the internet. It's insane that this happened. I'm on live on TikTok. I'm explaining my show. I start talking to this kid. He lives in Oregon, and I'm telling him about the show, and he goes, "That looks so fun. I'm gonna drive down and go."
No way.
So he drove from Oregon to Orange County to come to the show.
What?
His name is Mock-Tone. Shout out Mock-Tone. Him and his buddy
Mock-Tone
came down from Oregon, like a 13-14 hour drive, just to be there because he liked my content.
What?
And I was like, that really clicked it for me. I was like, whoa, actually, because sometimes I'll post even and I'm like, I don't feel like I have that much of an influence.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, I know I do. To an extent, I'm not Fantano level, but I know I do have fans and this and that, but it's hard to grasp that sometimes when you're just posting and trying to stay off the internet, but also be on. It's hard to see that. But that was a moment I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
People actually like that, what I do and all that. He just came, had a great time. I invited him to the after party and
cool.
I just kicked it with him. And he was just a cool dude. He was a really nice dude.
Sick.
And there was a few other people there for my, my content. But a lot of people that enjoy my content also enjoy Corey Lunar because I post him all the time. And we put a lot of time into his set. We had, the cool thing about that show is Corey's producer was there. I don't know if you know that. Do you know Phase Shift?
No.
Yeah, okay. He produced Outro and all Corey's Baker's songs. He flew down from London to run the show.
Oh.
Yeah, and he was staying with Corey.
Sick.
He stayed with me 2 weeks before that.
Nice.
He knew the show was happening. He's like, yeah, I'll just come back.
Sick,
So
bro.
yeah, he's a good kid. He's really cool, and I don't know, the show was like, it was fun, and it made me want to do more.
It's incredibly gratifying.
It's gratifying, and you learn so much
Yeah.
about it.
About real life, about like shit that's not on the internet.
Yeah,
Like,
it felt real because a lot
Yeah.
of the stuff I do on the internet, it's not like I have to work with other people or
yeah.
do this. It's just me in my room. My manager sends me an offer. Cool, I do it, and then on to the next. But like,
Yeah.
it was kind of, it felt like I was working back at a job again, like
Yeah.
a job, you know. And I think I kind of missed working with people. So after that show, it really convinced me to like start working with people again.
Yeah,
I
man.
think I'm gonna probably hire an editor
Nice.
next year or something. I've had a big problem with keeping everything to myself.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that.
I think every creative has gone through that.
Yeah.
You don't want to get rid of your baby. You know?
We're control freaks.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Yeah.
And you have to be.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a vision, you have to protect it. And if you're going to hire people, you have to hire the right people. And
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'd rather it be that way than me just outsourcing everything.
Yeah, I mean, then it's no longer you, and it's no longer your brand, and you have no say in it. And
Yeah.
like your like vision for it is not really like represented at that point. You know,
Yeah.
it becomes like diluted throughout like the means of its parts.
Yeah, and I think the people I will hire are going to be people that know my brand and know me, because at the end of the day, I am very much a big part of the brand.
Yeah.
Midnite Cult, but yeah, it's going to be people I trust, and
Yeah.
I think this show was such a good like indicator that I need to do that, because I did take on a lot for that show too.
Yeah.
I could have done more marketing and this and that. We had a great guy helping us as well with that.
Yeah, dude, during shows is my favorite thing in the world to do. It was interesting. Like nothing really ever felt real that I did for Above the Bridge until we threw our first show.
Yep.
And that was like 4 years ago now. Like my parents' game, and it felt like for the first time they understood what I was doing in my room, and that was like really, really gratifying.
Well, it's also there's such a disconnect, you know,
Yeah.
because they didn't grow up with the internet. And
Yeah, how could they get it? I mean,
how
like,
could you? And I don't even blame them. Like, if I grew up without a phone or any like phone in my pocket and all this stuff, and my son was like, "Hey, Dad, I just made money by posting a video on the internet."
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like a TV show? Like, but yeah, it was cool. It was very good at convincing people of what I actually do. And I didn't feel the need to convince people. I just like to give an explanation sometimes. So
Yeah, it's also like, I think when like, especially for someone like you, like you exist in a pretty like boxed like kind of music. Like you're definitely dealing mostly in like a couple different genres. So I feel like what's really sick about like that is like bringing that community that you've curated on the internet to life in that way.
Yeah.
And that's really what I feel like you're able to do. Like when you can kind of like exist within a genre and your figure, like I think Hyperpop actually has a lot of good examples of this. Like I think, you kind of ride the line between like some more rap stuff and some Hyperpop stuff, but like a Nistopia or like a Backlight, like guys like that, like who like in that space, I feel like specifically have really, really made a name for themselves. And it's interesting how that space is so open to like online people, because that genre of music's so online.
They live online, and
Yeah.
it's funny you brought up Backlight and Niz. They were the two hosts with me at Wonderworld.
Oh, cool.
It was kind of like, I think we're the three really. I mean, there's a few more. There's Grant. What's his name? He reacts to music. God, what's his name? I forgot his name, but yeah, he reacts to music. He talks a lot about like quad echo all the time. And, like, he's really good at being in that space. So it's like him and then Hive Mind.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone but Grant was at the Wonderworld show, and it felt like all these internet people coming together with a common interest, and that's what those shows felt like. So I did like map a lot of my shows after that experience, because it is hard to get people off the computer into a venue. But I think we did a good job.
If you can do it though.
Yeah, if you can do
shit.
it, it's great. And I want the shows to. I'm almost running them like a festival, like a very mini one.
Yeah.
3 acts. Try not to make it headliner the biggest thing. I like 3 evenly paced acts.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's like the framework for what I'm gonna do in the future.
What was the hardest part about it for you?
For the show?
Yeah.
I think marketing was tough.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing a lot of the technical stuff at the show. I was there to like market it and film it and
Yeah.
do all this stuff. Working with the acts was easy. It was Wes and Lunar and Illusion, so that was super. Those are good friends. I actually met Wes. I'd say the hardest part was just marketing it and trying to come up with ideas that would make sense for people to want to go. I feel like a lot of internet marketing is just common sense, and like I was trying to tap into that when I was marketing the show. So marketing was definitely the hardest part. But I had a fun time. I had a really fun time doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like so much of it, like so much of the show stuff is like, and this becomes very apparent the more shows you throw. It's like sometimes you get clouded in the organization of it, and you realize you never stopped to consider like, why would somebody want to come to this?
Yeah.
And that seems like so simple.
Yeah.
But it's so much like more than just doing it. Like you have to consider like, would I go to this?
I think of that like just in general with any marketing aspect.
Yeah.
Marketing is so common sense based where it's like you have to look at it from a third eye.
Yeah.
You have to look at the stuff you're making from a third eye and go, if I were to just see this pop up, would I think it's interesting?
Yeah.
Would I be interested in going to that or buying that merch or listening to that song?
And it always makes sense when you lay it out there. Like once you put it out there, you're always like, oh, yeah, no shit. Like, it's always stuff like that. But it's like sometimes, I mean, I'm such a victim of this actually. Like, I very often go too fast, like take the step back and be like, oh, like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, like I'm not giving somebody reason to watch this, or I'm not giving somebody reason to go to this.
Right.
There's just like, yeah, it's very rare though that I don't know. It's hard to remember to do that every single time. I
agree.
We never circled back on the TikTok conversation, but I was trying to figure that out in my brain. So if Trump and Joe Biden aren't fucking with TikTok, and Trump ends up banning it during his presidency, he's low key. Which I was thinking about this. This is kind of weird because he's like giving all the power to Meta then, which he like doesn't fuck with. I thought. I don't
think it's getting banned.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at the headquarters once every other month.
Really?
They're just like, I wouldn't worry about it. So I don't think. I mean, my manager just like started a show there.
Oh, nice.
I think they're still hiring people. So I mean, I don't see it getting banned.
Yeah.
Even though like people think it is, I think something's gonna happen.
It'd be like a tectonic shift in everything.
The music industry would explode.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what would happen.
Yeah, bro. In terms of like growing everything and motivation and sustainability, how have you found over the years to like remain motivated to continue growing everything and not just pigeonhole yourself? Because I definitely perceive you as somebody who's like always trying new shit. Like it's cool in like the last year to see you like really get into the management stuff, start throwing the shows, like start doing long form, like doing all that stuff is really cool. And I think a lot of folks in your position might have just peeled over and be like, I'm just gonna be a TikToker. Yeah. And it's cool that you haven't. So how do you kind of like remain curious and hungry and like wanting to have that more like all-encompassing brand and focusing on like expanding?
I think it's pretty cliche, but it's remembering why I'm doing it. You know, I've always wanted to do this, and I think remembering, you know, I'm doing this because when I was 10 years old, I was making GoPro videos, and I loved, you know, even in those videos I put music and people, I like that music, or I just love.
Do you remember what kind of songs you were putting? Like,
oh yeah, I'd put a lot of Flume. I did Rob Curley. Do you know who that is?
No.
They Rob Curley on a few of them. Who was the big one? Azizi Gibson.
Whoa.
Azizi Gibson was in a few. Fits in the Tantrums, I think their name was. I forgot the name exactly. Damn, wait. I know I have one.
Based.
Yeah, a lot of like EDM based stuff, which is funny because I never really, I kind of don't love EDM now, but back then that was like my first love was EDM.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Man, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun, and then it just transferred. And
yeah.
I think continuing to like be motivated is not easy for anyone in my space, or honestly any job. It's not easy to do. But I think another thing that helps me a lot is looking at like the work I've already done. And if my videos aren't doing well for a while, going, well, you've had slumps before.
Yeah.
And you got out of them. So if you're having a slump now, you're gonna get out of it.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's like your perspective just broadens, and eventually you're just like you're up here and you're viewing this entire funnel of things that you've been doing for the past 2 years, and you're like, oh well, it was hard at this point, and it was hard at this point, and it was hard at that point.
Yeah.
But like, it was great at this point and great at that point. And if I'm one of the if I'm in one of the low dips, that like it's gonna come back because it has in the past.
Absolutely. And it's like one quote my dad gave me that I always think back on. He keeps telling me this is, don't get too high on the highs and don't get too low on the lows. Yeah, you know it.
Keep your head right in the middle.
Keep your head right in the middle.
Yeah.
And if a really good thing happens, it's cool. I try not to get overly excited about it. But once, because that kind of helps me when the bad thing happens and I'm not doing views or maybe deals aren't coming in or whatever. I think it's easy to get excited in this job, but kind of have to force yourself not to.
Yeah. I watched this baseball podcast one time. And they were interviewing a pitcher. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was. Who was it? I don't know. It was some pitcher, but he was talking about that, and I think about that interview a lot because he was talking about very specifically like what you just said. Like, as a baseball player, you can't get too high with the highs, you can't get too low with the lows. You just need to keep your head exactly where it needs to be, right in the middle, 24/7. I think that can be said for any job. That's really just like a grind. Where you do something every single day.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like you quite literally just are the most balanced when you're in the middle.
Yeah.
I think your perspective is like the least skewed when you're in that place,
Yeah.
So I could totally see like why TikTok as well with the numbers would kind of lead you to that conclusion. Because dude, like you can get really high with those numbers and you can get really low.
I mean, I could have weeks where everything's working, everything's clicking, and then out of nowhere it's nope, not today. You're gonna just go through a 2-week slump, and I'm like, man. So I just, if I'm able to combine both of those feelings into one thing, then I think we're sitting pretty. We're good.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to ask you about like where you're from because I feel like you're putting on a lot of Orange County artists. Like this whole last show, it was all Orange County artists, which is really sick. And I feel like there is a lot within the scene of music that you cover mostly. That is coming out of that area, and I felt that way for a while. But I'm curious, do you think like there's more of a scene there than people are letting on, and like, do you think there's more stuff coming out of there that isn't getting covered? And how do you kind of perceive like the current state of Orange County music?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely got a lot of underrated artists. I think it's Orange County in general is obviously, I got very lucky growing up there, and I think like anyone, if I were to grow up in the Bay Area, I'd be very much attached to the Bay Area, and I'd always think this is underrated. But from like an outside perspective, I truly think like Lunar's making really good music, and so is Bray, and so is Illusion Hills. It just happens that they grew up in the same area. So when I make those videos about them, I'm not even necessarily trying to expand Orange County music or whatever. I do think it has like a lot of really good artists come out of it.
But you're not thinking about it a lot?
I'm not really thinking about like Orange County. I'm just thinking I like these artists, and I just happen. And that's another thing I've kind of has been interesting is like being a fan of artists and then meeting them and still being a fan of them. I could be friends with like a new artist and still love their music, but it's like I think that I don't think that takes away from the fact that they're making good music. And I think that's kind of what I think of with Orange County music is I did grow up there. It is my area. But I do think the artists there are truly incredible and doing something different. Yeah. And it definitely has like a very similar. They all have like a similar type. It's really weirdly a lot of hyperpop.
Yeah, it is.
Which I would not have expected.
I'll try to get it.
It's funny. I told Lunar years ago, I'm like, you got to try this hyperpop thing, man, because he was doing like emo rap a little bit, and then he started getting into hyperpop, and I was like, oh wait, you're killing it. You're good at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bray's not really, but Illusion Hills definitely went down that. I don't know what they're doing. I don't think they're doing as much of that anymore.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of worked out that my favorite genre happens to be very big in Orange County.
That makes sense. It's always cool to me how you definitely always like position yourself as like a fan. Yeah. I think that's really sick. I think like a lot of people are afraid to do that, which I think is really dumb. I think there's a weird like power dynamic in the music industry where people try to like maintain this allure that they aren't fans, or like the fandom isn't a part of their life, when like it so obviously is. I think it's cool though that you definitely always like wear that on your sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, even last night I went to the Piao show last night.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of her music, but she's also just a really good friend of mine, and I don't think it has to take away from the fact that like just because we're friends I can't love her music.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people tend to like give other people shit because like I get the comment all the time. Like, for instance, I posted, like, my top 5 favorite albums. I put Jesse Melancholy's at number 3.
Yeah.
And someone was like, you're only doing that because you manage him and you're friends with him. And I'm like, why would I manage someone if I didn't think this, you know?
Yeah. Why would I manage somebody if I wasn't a fan of them?
Yeah, if I didn't think this is a top 5 album of the year.
Yeah.
And it was also, I get that comment a lot when I promote Lunar or whatever. It's like, people know we're friends.
Yeah.
And I get the comments of, like, you're only promoting him because you're friends with him. You don't actually like the music. It's like, I think you could be both. I think you can really enjoy.
Why the fuck would what? Why would you manage something you don't like?
Yeah, like, exactly. And it's a little bit frustrating, but I think it all kind of boils down to like, I don't know. I got very lucky growing up next to a lot of like very musically gifted people in my life. And I think that kind of translated over to, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it exactly.
Yeah. But it's less like geographical and more just like this happened to happen. And you guys have like what?
Sorry, I heard a lot of noise. Wondering what happened.
Oh, did I hear it? Wait, what was that? Huh? Oh, it was the wind. Oh,
the wind spooked me.
Weird. But yeah, what you're saying is like it's less of a geographical thing and just more of like it just happened to happen.
It just happened to happen.
And you guys had a
really
comment in there, and there's more likelihood that you'll meet because you're from the same area.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, I think like I always think about like how much I'm lucky to be incredible friends with some of the people I'm the biggest fans of, and then be like incredible fans of people that I'm friends with as well.
Yeah, it's almost better being friends with friends with them as well.
Yeah,
I think. It's a weird dynamic because you still are a fan. You could be a fan first, then become friends, and I think I'm still a fan of the people that I'm friends with.
You should be. Yeah, I listen to so many of my friends' music all the fucking time.
I think my top 5 this year is just like, maybe not my top 5, but a lot of the music I listen to is just like homies.
Yeah, same.
It's crazy how that works out. It is weird.
And I think I feel like it's a beautiful thing. I think it's cool. It's community building, you know?
It is, but it's also like, I don't want to like glaze my friend's music, if that makes sense. You know, I don't want to be like, that's the best shit ever. So it's like you have to, I don't even know how to explain it. But it is like interesting. Like actually loving this person's music, but also like, loving them as people. I don't know. It's great. I mean, I think
it gets even cooler if you begin to throw a bunch of more shows.
Yeah,
because that's sick, and those worlds collide a lot. And then it's like, oh, like this community that was Midnite Cold that was in the internet is suddenly in real life.
Yeah,
that's like really cool.
That's like very much a goal. Of mine is getting people off the internet, and I think there's a lot of means I'm gonna make that happen. It can't just be TikTok. It can't just be like post a video on YouTube here or there. Like I kind of have to get all 5 Infinity Stones out at the same time and really start pushing for these live events and other means of just getting my brand out there as much as I can.
Yeah, and it's incredibly like taxing to do it all at once. It's really hard to figure out a way to do it all at once. But I think like once you can figure, and I think it's cool that you found the thing that like worked for you first. I think once you find the one, everything is so much easier.
It becomes easy, and that's like another reason I have like Dad Lore. The show I do with Tony is I think that's just another aspect of building my brand, and obviously it's with my friends, so I want to see them grow as well. But I think that show as a whole is just like it kind of motivates me to go long form route as well.
It's sick. It's really funny.
It's fun. Yeah. We filmed 2 this year. We have 2 more before the end of the year, I believe.
Nice. So, fuck yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Doing that and like all this other stuff, and like when people ask you, like you brought it up, like it's funny at like Thanksgiving dinner, family dinner, or whatever. Yeah. When like family members, I guess not family members, but just anybody, right? Like will ask you what Midnite Cold is. Do you have an elevator pitch? Like, do you have like how do you even explain it to people? Because I fucking struggle so much with this.
I have the hardest time doing this. And my dad has been telling me like, you need to find an elevator pitch, and I'm like,
I don't even mean it in a business sense. I just mean like,
no, I
I'm
know,
curious.
no, but I agree.
Yeah.
If I were to explain it to someone, in a nutshell, it's a marketing company that I'm the face of, and like I kind of do most of the marketing.
Makes sense.
I kind of do most of the marketing myself at this point, but I would like to grow it to a point where it's not just me doing it.
Yeah. Wow, I've actually never heard anybody explain like a media company like that.
Yeah.
Like, because that's like what it is. You're like making content, but it's like you're a marketing company.
Yeah, and it's also gonna. That's why I think right now it's a marketing company. I would like to eventually get it into. I don't know if I love the word label for it, but that's the one word I can think of.
Yeah.
Is like because it would do technically what a label does. Like 88 Rising has their has Cloud or Head in the Clouds festival. It'd be like something like that. That I would like Midnite, but I still will be the face of it, interestingly enough. So again, Lyrical Lemonade is just the greatest idea to you, like the greatest like means to explain what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Lyrical Lemonade opened the floodgates for anything like this to exist, for sure. I think everybody points to it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's so different now because back then it was music videos. Now it's like you could do Lyrical Lemonade through a podcast. You could, you know, be the face of your podcast and use that to make a career in music and have all these videos and stuff surrounding you. Yeah. And I think Cole was never, the interesting thing about him is he was never like trying to be the face of it.
No,
it's just he was so good at what he did that he became it.
All these kids were like, I want to do that.
Yeah. Oh, you remember that tutorial? Did you ever watch
How to make a video like Cole Bennett?
Max Novak?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yep.
The GOAT. Oh my God,
bro.
man.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, dude. It was just so like, I don't know, because you're right. Like, he never really put himself out there like that. Yeah. It just kind of, I don't know. He just became the face of it because kids were like, what the fuck is this? And like, like, I don't know. I almost think he stumbled into it. Like, I don't think he meant to.
I don't know.
I think he's trying to make videos
either because I don't know if he meant to either. But I have a video scripted right now around. I want to talk about Cole Bennett's like the most underrated thing about him is his curation ability.
I totally agree. Yeah,
he's a great director. He's a great video, but like he's picking incredible artists.
Yeah. I think it was like, I mean, he stumbled into a scene. Like I think that's one thing that was huge. Is that like he was he better than almost anybody was able to stumbled into a scene and capitalized on
at
it
the
like
perfect time,
bro. Like music changing time. Yeah, and like I think he since then has really been good about like whatever comes next in that scene.
Well, he's been able to stay relevant, which I think is very important. And there was other music video companies at that time that just were very big at that time that aren't really able to stay relevant. I think like World Star was doing a lot at that time. Yeah. And they haven't really been able to stay as relevant.
Yeah, that shit is just like so quantity over quality. It's such a quantity play.
But Cole Bennett, like, he always like his is always quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And I think he's been able to build it into such a like incredible. I think it's one of the most influential businesses out there right now.
And it's so interesting to think about like what's next and who's next and like what like is there
the five LA companies right now, man.
Yeah, bro. I mean, like there's so many that are like out there and like trying to do the fucking thing. It's I think about it very often. Like I think like there's a couple people that I think like are doing incredible things that are really close. I think Dumb Days is a really good example of this. Obviously, I think Live 2 is this. Obviously, I think Above the Bridge is this. I think like there's all kinds of companies that are like really, really, really close. I think if you asked me who the closest ever was, I would say Overcast.
Oh my God, you brought up I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Overcast before they disbanded was the closest anybody will ever be until somebody ever does it again. They had it. They had it.
Crazy that they left at their peak.
They had it.
It was insane because they were that era of Hyperpop blowing up.
They had it, bro.
So similar to the SoundCloud era.
Incredibly similar. It's so interesting, and I think about it so much. Like I think it was probably this influential. Like I think if Overcast didn't stop, there is a maybe not as big as the SoundCloud wave got, but there is a legitimate argument to be made about Hyperpop being in a place that it's not right now.
I agree.
If Overcast stayed the way that
they were the numbers they were doing, the artists they were putting on, the videos they were putting out, it was like everything was gearing up to get to that next level. And it just never got there.
I think what they had that the only Lyrical Lemonade has had since this that like I think is like is the thing they were able to I think Lyrical Lemonade was huge.
Yeah.
Because they were able to make artists huge. They had this ability to post something on their page, and if that's all they had to do, and that artist blew up just like that.
Lil Xan was like a great example of that.
Yeah, the artists didn't have to be good. They would just blow up.
Yeah.
I think the only other like media company or production company that had been able to like curate that kind of fan base, where like if they made a video, the artist would like all their fans would flock to that artist. Was Overcast.
It was.
They did that. Like if they posted something, all those Overcast kids were obsessed with it.
Yeah, it was good, and what they did really well was match they almost created like the groundwork for what hyperpop videos are today.
They did.
Like what the aesthetics are supposed to be, like very bright, flashy stuff, and they are not given enough credit for what they did. It's Danny and Tommy.
Yeah.
Shout out both of you.
Shout out.
It's incredible what they did in the very short time they did it.
Yeah, man.
It was like 2020 to 22.
Yeah, bro. They had that shit. Like, it's very impressive. I often think about an alternative universe, if it was still around, how big it would be. It's interesting to see, but I think they were the closest anybody's ever gotten to having the kind of reign that Lyrical Lemonade had.
They truly, and I think they would have branched out
totally.
because that's what I did. It's like when I started my page, I was exclusive hyperpop.
Yeah.
The only way I was able to really blow it up was go to rap, the biggest genre in the world. So I think they would have done a similar thing to that.
Yeah, I mean, those scenes are adjacent at certain points as well.
Yeah,
like they definitely become adjacent. Like there's artists that bridge them very clearly, and I think like that is like the scene of rap you kind of branch into.
Yeah, like a Midwest is a good example.
Yeah.
Like even Glav's new album was very much Ken Carson coded or like Playboi Carti coded. Did you listen to May It Never Falter?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I thought that whole album was. I think it was my favorite, maybe Scrapyard.
Yeah.
But I think that was my favorite album this year. And it was cool. It was like I think hyperpop has influenced the music today. We just don't realize it.
Where do you see that scene at large? Because I think about it a lot as a huge fan of the sound. I think I don't know. I feel like it's interesting. It's weird to think about it because I think when I think about the 2018, 2019, 2020 hyperpop artists that really came up all at the same time and were doing their thing. Obviously, just think Overcast artists, any of those, right? That to me is where I'm that was hyperpop at its peak, and then I feel like the genre never really found its star, and therefore it was never catapulted into the mainstream, and then I sort of feel like it got to this place where now it's kind of just kind of morphing with rap.
It's dying out.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people have said. I don't think it died out. I think it evolved. I think hyperpop evolved into a ton of different subgenres, right?
Yeah.
You have Glaive, who obviously was the hyperpop
textbook
golden boy,
Yeah.
and then he went off and made I Care So Much, I Don't Care at All, which was an indie rock album.
Yeah, it's literally indie rock, indie folk.
But it was really good. It was an incredible indie rock
really
album.
Good.
And now his newer stuff is almost feeling a little bit more hyperpop fused with indie rock.
Yeah.
And I think you can look at so many artists, Alden is also a good example of that, who went almost like a pop punk wave,
especially in the aesthetic lens.
Sure. I mean, I don't think the biggest song he had was I Can't Believe I Let You Get Away. Yeah, that song is so good. So he's doing almost like a punk-ish sound now, and you can kind of look at all these artists who are. It's crazy how they've been able to maintain their success without making the genre that made them successful.
Yeah. Well, it's because I think a big part of the reason that is the genre they got successful in was just it's kind of just a hodgepodge of a genre anyway.
Yeah,
it's a bunch of shit thrown together.
Mm-hmm.
So they can make all kinds of stuff.
And the reason I believe they were able to maintain relevancy is because the hyperpop scene. You look at any of these fan bases versus a pop artist.
Yeah,
maybe not every pop artist, but you look at these fan bases. You look at the Breakins fan base. They're insane. They're so dedicated to the artist, and that Underscores is also a good example of someone who Underscores could drop anything.
Yeah,
and their fans would go and listen to it.
Yeah.
And when I went to that festival with all the hyperpop artists, I saw that where I was just these people traveled from states away.
Has there been one since this? Like
Since Wonderworld?
Yeah.
Like a fest with all
Yeah.
No. That's the goal, I'd say.
Fuck yeah.
I would love to do
Fuck
something
yeah.
like
Fuck
that.
yeah.
I made a fake flyer for it a few months ago and posted it. My fans got really mad at me. But I think that's, exactly why Hyperpop hasn't died. It's like maybe the sound did, but the artist didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Damn, is that like a big goal for you? That's really cool.
Oh yeah, I would
super
love
sick.
to eventually be able to get all these, like almost like a Rolling Loud level of lineup with all these massive artists in that scene.
That's so sick.
It's not, the thing about it is, you look at an artist like Breakins, he probably has more like motion, I'd say, behind him in comparison to an artist like maybe French Montana, who might have so many more monthly listeners.
Yeah.
But not that dedicated.
I think that's true, yeah.
And I think having a dedicated fan base is more important than anything in music today.
I entirely agree. That's why I think about the difference between an internet fan base and an in-person fan base so much. That's a huge difference. One of them makes you money, one of them doesn't.
Yep.
Which is quite literally the difference between having a career and not having a career.
Yeah.
I think about that very often as well. I will say though, I don't really I do believe that for a genre to really be catapulted into the mainstream, it needs to find 2 or 3 just stars.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Hyperpop ever found its one artist that just got gigantic. Who's the biggest Hyperpop artist right now? That you would call Hyperpop?
I'd still be calling Glave's music Hyperpop.
And he probably has 2 million monthlies, 3 million monthlies.
I don't even think he has 1 million.
Yeah.
The biggest at Hyperpop's inception was 100 gecs.
You think so?
Which I thought was terrible. I thought that's why. I think that's my theory.
Interesting.
My theory as to why Hyperpop never blew up is because of 100 gecs.
Whoa.
I love their music, but it was too experimental for general people, the general audience, to be oh, I can see myself listening to this genre, because one of their lyrics is talking about piss babies or something over some distorted fire alarm ass beat. Yeah. So I think people first heard that and got turned off from it.
I will say though, I agree with you, but I have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I think I have the funniest example to me that's the biggest counter argument to what you're saying is my brother, who just loves rap, but then for some reason also loves 100 gecs. He just my brother loves country and he loves rap, but he just loves 100 gecs.
Dude, that's my taste in music.
I don't know why. It's so funny. I love 100 gecs too.
They're great. They're great. But I do think it was if you were new to the sound, you were coming from emo rap, which was, I'd say, the wave before Hyperpop.
Yes.
It went emo rap, Hyperpop, whatever we're in right now, which is almost like an indie rock, alternative rock-ish sound fused with Hyperpop.
Yeah.
I think it was too much going from Lil Peep to 100 gecs. Because a lot of those emo...
it's actually a really good take, I think.
Yeah, a lot of those emo rap artists just went straight into Hyperpop.
Yeah.
Sewer Person's one of them. Lunar is one of them, but he started in emo rap, and I just saw this trajectory shift over to Hyperpop. I was actually working with an artist at the time. His name's Kid 60, and I was like, bruh, you got to go into Hyperpop, because he was doing emo rap.
I went on your YouTube channel, and I looked at the oldest videos, and I watched the music video you did with him.
With For Gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was my dad driving the Doom buggy.
Oh, let's go. Yeah. Hell yeah.
That was an interesting video. That was a crazy video. That was I was middle of COVID.
Oh, shit.
We just pulled up I had a trailer.
Yeah.
Pulled up, stayed the night in this desert.
Fuck it.
It was so fun.
That's cool, dude.
Cool.
Yeah, but it just doesn't. I that's a really interesting take, actually, the 100 gecs thing.
Yeah. No, I stand by it. That's my hot take, I'd say.
I wonder if, I really wonder though, if Glaive had gone because I'm honestly I'm surprised Glaive at his peak popularity did not get bigger than he was.
I agree.
I'm very, very surprised. He had a Lurk Lemonade video. He was up for a
1984 should have really.
That should have been it.
Because that was such a digestible track. Too.
Yeah. Yeah, that should have been it, dude.
I mean, even Astrid when he dropped that was huge.
It's 2020, 2019.
Yeah, I think people. It was 2020. Yeah, I think people. What I'm saying is I think people just kind of wrote off the whole genre.
Yeah.
Because they're I heard one song, I don't like it. But then you realize this genre is so complex. It's I was talking about the Hyperpop umbrella.
Yeah.
It's like you have 100 gex on one side. It's like if you were to look at it as a line, it's like 100 gex, Breakins, Glaive, and then way over here you have like Aries, Subi Club, like Quadeca more towards the middle.
Yeah.
Which is like because they're adjacent genres.
And then there's more like rap that like I think there's like a subcategory of it. It's like hyperpop rap.
Yes,
where like
Midwest.
When Midwest or like I almost think Quadeca even fits in there sometimes.
Yeah, with his album From Me to You, absolutely. I thought that was very much like, but Sisyphus on that album was incredible.
Yeah,
like, I don't even know how to explain that song.
That song's so crazy.
Yeah,
dude. I'm curious in an alternative universe, like, what would have had to gone right for hyperpop to become like massive? It's interesting.
It would have had to have been.
I do think about it a lot.
It would have had to have been something like we're seeing with Ken Carson and like Destroy Lonely, where like there's not even Lone really. I'd say just having like the reason that subsect of rap is growing so much is because of Playboi Carti and Ken Carson.
There's a star in it.
Yeah, and then you're seeing all these newer artists like Netspend coming up.
Yeah.
Even Two Hollis is starting to work in that sound, who was funny enough in the hyperpop scene.
Yeah.
And is transferring over to that sound. But I think you need like 2 or 3 people really blowing up the genre.
For sure. I totally agree. Like I think if hyperpop had that, it'd be a different conversation right now.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting because I don't even look at that as like a scene very much. So like that's like 10 artists. Like hyperpop, even when Glaive was just blowing up, it was like a ton of fucking people. Maybe it wasn't.
You had like you did. You had like Curtains underscores as well.
Yeah.
And then, like Alden was doing his thing.
Maybe it blew up. Maybe it got like bigger like after that though.
I think Overcast was right before the peak.
Yeah.
I think the peak happened a little bit after Glaive's second album. I think All Dogs Go to Heaven was pretty much the peak of it.
Yeah.
Like that era of music. Not necessarily that album, but I think we were seeing the most success in that at that point. And then Midwest and Breakins were collaborating, like all the artists were collaborating at that point.
I think like one thing we see with scenes that go on to like be massive and change everything are like huge media figures in it, and that's the crazy thing is like I think Hyperpop like had the potential to have those like you, Nystopia, like Hive Mind, people like that, like they like had the potential to like be big media people like within the space. I think that is like another telltale sign that a scene is going to be gigantic. And it I don't know, Hyperpop feels like it had it all to me, except like the culture was there, it was young, it was youthful, kids loved that shit, like there was media within it, there was motion within it, there was enough artists, it just feels like it never found its star.
Something didn't click for some reason or the other. Because it should. I think it is still an underrated genre. Or the artists in it at least, and it's going to be, I'll say this, in 40 years, I think people will still be listening to those artists. I don't think people will still be listening to Ken Carson. I think it's going to be one of those genres that just has insane longevity because of how dedicated the fan bases are to that music.
I could see that. I definitely could see that. And it's interesting because you begin to question then, like, what makes something in music last forever now? Like, because it used to be incredibly dedicated young fans. And now, as sad as it is, you maybe can make the argument that it's just like internet virality.
It could be. I mean, it could be virality, but I don't even think my videos are going to be the reason someone exactly listens to an artist.
Of course, I don't think so either.
I think I'll maybe get people interested in an artist, but I think it comes down to like how the individual. It all comes down to like individual feelings about the music, and if if Breakins is able to have 100,000 fans for the rest of his life really loving his music, he'll be set for life.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. And I'm so maybe it just needs a star. I don't know.
It needs a star, and I think we're going to see a new wave once, because a lot of artists have been very quiet as of lately. So I think we're kind of gearing up for like phase 3 of everything. So we kind of just got through like the second phase, which is like all these sound shifts you've seen post hyperpop, and now we're going to go into like, I think the third phase, which is really going to blow up these artists because they have put so much time in. Like, a lot of these artists haven't posted anything for a while, and like Underscores hasn't dropped an album in like a year and a half or something. Breakins has been quiet. Aries has been very quiet. Like all these really big staples in that scene have just been quiet. So I think we're gonna see a big like increase in people listening to it with these very, very, very well fleshed out albums.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of time, like when they come.
Yeah. Makes sense. No, definitely. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see it. I hope it happens.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Midnite Cult.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this, brother.
Dude, of course. I was so happy to. It's actually my first, I think, interview as Midnite Cult.
No way.
Yeah.
Let's go. Hell yeah. That's cool.
I appreciate it. It was.
I didn't know that.
It was cool, man.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
No, it was a lot of fun, bro. I appreciate what you do very much. Love what you're doing. Love what you're building. I got a lot of faith in you, and I can't wait to see where it goes next.
Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Tell them where they could follow you, where they could watch the YouTube, watch your TikTok, watch everything.
Man of many names. My Instagram is Cult at Midnight. Midnight Cult on TikTok and Cult at Midnight on Twitter. You can watch all my videos on all 3 of those platforms. Not Twitter. I
think it's not. Yeah.
Let's go YouTube, Midnight Cult. You can watch my videos on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you please. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We'll see what 2025 brings us. And
yes, sir.
hopefully it's going to be a big building year, big long form year for me.
Very excited for you, bro.
Of course. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
Music matters.
Yes, sir.